My daily life unfolded in a manner that was utterly unremarkable. I am 40 years old, entwined in a life of passion and intrigue with my husband, Eric. Furthermore, I am blessed with a son who is navigating the intriguing waters of adolescence. My serene demeanor was unmistakable, perhaps even indulgently so. Nevertheless, you must assess the circumstances at hand, though I sense that my perspective may lean towards the unfavorable, a notion that does not trouble me in the slightest. In brief, my 15-year-old son, Lucas, found great delight in visiting the enchanting farm owned by my husband's brother, Eric. Rather than providing the care they deserve, the situation grows increasingly intricate with the arrival of his enigmatic relative, Aiden. The two young souls engage in a delightful array of shared pursuits befitting their tender years. Each Friday, he would grace the home of his relatives, eager to steal a moment with his enchanting cousin and savor a delightful evening together until the stars begin to fade. Even on weekends, there are moments when one finds themselves returning from the day's labors. Eric would often make his entrance around 11 o'clock at night, a time that held a certain allure, especially on a Friday. As the final bell rang, Lucas made his way to his uncle's house, the only destination that beckoned him in the absence of any other plans. I decided to pay a visit to my dear Julie, seeking both delightful company and a chance to inquire about Lucas, who was spending time with his family. As I arrived, I caught sight of them engaged in conversation on the brink of departure. I found myself in an enchanting conversation with my dear Julie, exploring a myriad of delightful subjects. The allure of a Friday afternoon, where the rich aroma of coffee mingles with the soft whispers of conversation, creating an enchanting escape from the ordinary. In the midst of our enchanting dialogue, my dear Julie made her entrance, a bottle of wine in hand, igniting a spark that deepened our exchange. It is a well-accepted truth that coffee and wine exist in realms of their own, each offering a unique allure that captivates the senses. Thus, our dialogue unfolded in a delightful and captivating manner, gracefully avoiding the brink of inebriation. We reveled in delightful moments, our laughter intertwining over the playful absurdities we exchanged. In that fleeting moment, Lucas and his cousin Aiden exchanged hurried farewells, their eyes glinting with unspoken secrets as they prepared to depart from their shared sanctuary. In any case, we reached an understanding and carried on our conversation with the same delightful ease as before. After indulging in a generous amount of wine, it became imperative to excuse oneself to the restroom. As she made her way to the kitchen, my Julie chose to indulge in the rich aroma of coffee, setting aside the wine for a moment of elegance. I ascended the staircase, my heart fluttering with anticipation as I sought the elusive bathroom. I successfully discovered the entrance. I had not thought to reach out beforehand. As I turned the knob of the door and stepped inside, a wave of realization washed over me. I had ventured into a realm of delightful mischief. Perhaps it was the lingering allure of the wine that danced in my thoughts, or perhaps, who can say? In times past, it was imperative to gently rap upon the door. However, upon my arrival, I discovered Aiden poised in front of the toilet, engaging in the most ordinary of acts with an air of nonchalance. I found myself in a delightful quandary, uncertain of the next move to make in this intriguing dance of possibilities. How delightful it would have been to slip away without a moment's pause, at the very least. I found myself compelled to depart without delay. I turned away. In that fleeting moment of confusion, I discovered the source of my bewilderment, as I found myself adrift, uncertain of the path to take. Yet, in that fleeting instant, time seemed to stretch infinitely, as I found myself captivated by the unfolding events. It was truly enchanting. One might find it truly enchanting. Young Aiden, the cherished son of my dear brother, in that fleeting instant, a wave of astonishment washed over me, compelling me to make a hasty exit. It is a sentiment that lingers in the air, understood by all who dare to listen. My heart is a fluttering enigma, caught in the delicate web of recent events that have left me pondering in a haze of intrigue. In a swift motion, Aiden spun around, his eyes widening in delightful surprise at my unanticipated arrival. I find myself adrift in a sea of uncertainty. Overcome by a wave of confusion, I felt compelled to offer my apologies at once and make a hasty exit from the bathroom, for my mind was not entirely my own in that moment. I attempted to unlock the door, my heart racing with anticipation. I found myself unable to depart as the space was too intimate and the door swung inward, creating an alluring sense of confinement. I endeavored to unlock the door with grace. As he drew closer, his voice was laced with a fervent plea for forgiveness, each word a delicate whisper of remorse. In an unexpected moment, Aiden took hold of my arm, gently pulling me back just enough to create a tantalizing distance between us. As I gracefully opened the door, his presence enveloped me in a soothing embrace, assuring me that all was perfectly arranged. Dearest aunt, there is no cause for concern when one gracefully exits the bathroom. Aiden drew near, his voice a soothing whisper, assuring me with a gentle, "Don't worry. My dearest aunt, how delightful it would be if I were to find myself in the throes of folly more frequently." I gracefully glided down the stairs. In that fleeting moment, the circumstances that unfolded were utterly unforeseen and, intriguingly, not at all unwelcome. In another time, I might have chastised my dear nephew quite sternly and confided in his mother about the incident that transpired. Yet, on this particular occasion, I refrained from indulging in such an act. I chose to gracefully step away from that path. As the clock struck 11:30, Eric drew near to my son and me, and together we embarked on our enchanting journey back home. From that moment forward, my thoughts continually drifted back to the intriguing events surrounding Aiden, stirring a sense of delightful unease within me. The scene I beheld was utterly astonishing, leaving me breathless with surprise. It became an unexpectedly thrilling experience, leaving a lingering sense of intrigue. Aiden's proposal ignited a spark within me, inspiring the creation of breathtaking landscapes that danced on the edge of fantasy. As the days unfolded, each night as I settled into bed, that thought would inevitably dance through my mind, whether it was during the warm embrace of the shower or in those intimate moments shared with Eric. The image lingered in my thoughts, a tantalizing dance of memories. I believed that as time flowed gently onward, the memory of that enchanting evening would fade into the shadows of my thoughts. Yet, the unfolding of events took an unexpected turn. Instead, his infatuation deepened relentlessly, spiraling into a realm of concern. One fateful day, unable to resist the allure of the moment, I suggested to Lucas that we invite Aiden to our home on Friday, offering him the enticing opportunity to stay the night. Without hesitation, Lucas acquiesced. I felt it necessary to notify my brothers-in-law of Aiden's enchanting visit to my abode, accompanied by the charming Lucas, assuring them that they would be in my attentive hands. And, as anticipated, he consented, with the intention of lingering a while longer. I was unaware of the motivations that stirred within me. Though my heart was set on embarking upon a new endeavor, I found myself without the luxury of careful preparation. Before choosing which path to follow, I would much rather have Aiden by my side at home. As the sun began to dip below the horizon on that enchanting Friday afternoon, Lucas and Aiden found themselves entwined in a delightful rendezvous, indulging in the thrill of video games or immersing themselves in their cherished pastimes. I endeavored to conceal my unease. The answer to the problem eluded me, shrouded in mystery. Perhaps it would have been wiser to let that matter slip from my thoughts, yet I chose to refrain from such a course of action. I decided against pursuing the action, as my thoughts conjured up rather daring and delicate scenarios. As the clock struck 11, Eric slipped through the door, returning home under the veil of night, as was his custom. After dinner, he revealed his weariness from the day's events and sought permission to withdraw and indulge in a moment of respite. It consumed my thoughts entirely. I've been graced with exquisite fortune, the name that graces Eric. After a long journey, he succumbed to a deep slumber, and coaxing him back to consciousness proved utterly futile. He lingered in a tranquil slumber, surrendering to the embrace of night until the first light of dawn gently kissed the horizon. As Lucas and Aiden engaged in lively banter about their latest video game conquests, I found myself ensconced in the living room, savoring a captivating series on Netflix, the only sound weaving through the air like a delicate whisper. I utterly dismissed the purpose of my presence. It was utterly perplexing. My thoughts danced in a beautifully twisted manner. I found myself yearning to retreat to my chambers at once, seeking the solace of rest. Perhaps the events that unfolded in Aiden's residence were heightened by the intoxicating allure of the evening and the delightful libations I had indulged in. I found myself caught in a dance of persuasion, gently chiding my own heart in the quiet of my thoughts. Indeed, what delightful chaos has unfolded! Your level of inebriation was unmistakable. In that fleeting moment, I became acutely aware that my emotions had beautifully transformed my perception of the circumstances at hand. It would be delightful for you to indulge in a moment of respite. I lingered in the living room until the witching hour, around 2 in the morning, savoring the stillness of the night. The whispers of Lucas and Aiden faded into an enticing silence. Perhaps they were lost in a profound slumber, wrapped in the embrace of dreams. With a gentle sigh, I rose and ascended the staircase to my chamber, seeking the embrace of slumber. In that exquisite moment, I found myself attempting to convince my heart that the wild notions swirling in my mind were merely the enchanting effects of a few glasses of wine consumed in delightful company. They blend into the background, hardly drawing a glance. To commence my evening, I slipped away to the bathroom, where I indulged in the delicate ritual of brushing my teeth. Ultimately, I decided to refresh my face with a splash of water, yearning for my body to find a touch of serenity. What a delightful surprise! Oh, my heavens! At that moment, I felt a reassuring hand on my shoulder, offering comfort. I was utterly convinced that those hands were not Eric's, for the deep, resonant snores emanating from the room next door confirmed his presence in a rather unrefined manner. As I recognized the hands, I swiftly shut my eyes, allowing his voice to wash over me from behind, revealing a secret that lingered in the air. On this occasion, it was he who faltered in his charm. "Are you utterly certain of that declaration?" In a hush of anticipation, as I delicately brushed my teeth, I endeavored to sweep away the thoughts that lingered in my mind. The swiftness with which I found myself enraptured by the circumstances caught me off guard. With a flutter of anticipation, I felt a tantalizing tension in my jaw as I endeavored to reach the fullest extent of my capabilities. Then, Aiden beckoned me to take a seat in the chair, yet a delightful restlessness stirred within me at that moment. In that fleeting moment, I found myself utterly bewildered, lost in a haze where time and place intertwined in an intoxicating dance. The fervor of the moment left me utterly bewildered. An exhilarating energy surged within me, a sensation entirely unfamiliar to my senses. Aiden's words stirred something deep within me. The anticipation of this moment had enveloped me for what felt like an eternity. I was utterly unaware. I granted him the liberty to explore his creative visions, and he revealed himself to be remarkably inventive, introducing me to a world of experiences I had yet to encounter. I indulged in his exquisite potion until it became a touch too sweet for my taste. I found myself swept away, utterly unaware of the depths of his intentions. I decided to divert my attention and indulge in a different pursuit. Throughout the week, I found myself in the enchanting company of Aiden as we wandered through various captivating locales, allowing him to select those that stirred his heart the most. I am utterly prepared to bestow upon him all that I possess. One fateful day, we found ourselves in a secluded nook where the air was thick with unspoken desires. Such enchanting locations. In a moment of unexpected intimacy, as they embraced tightly after the jarring collision, the piercing sound of the building's fire alarm shattered the air around them. A voice echoed through the halls, urging an immediate departure from the hotel, shrouded in an air of urgency and intrigue. In that instant, Aiden swung the door open, revealing a flurry of figures hastily making their way down the corridors, their urgency palpable as tendrils of smoke curled and danced from every shadowy corner. The haze enveloped the room, leaving us in a delightful disarray, our garments lost to the night's enchanting embrace. In that fleeting moment, a member of the civil protection urged us to don our swimming trunks and make a hasty exit, emphasizing the paramount importance of safeguarding life over any material possession. Once outside, clad only in swimming trunks, a sense of daring elegance enveloped the moment. Aiden and I gazed in wonder as the flames danced and flickered, their fervent glow captivating our senses. We found ourselves in a delicate predicament, unable to explain the allure of our attire or the charm of our companions, particularly with the trunks that bore the name of the enchanting Aranjuez Bordado Hotel. I left my bag inside, devoid of any coin or gadget, a daring oversight that felt both thrilling and reckless. Cellular device. We found ourselves in a rather precarious predicament. We chose to embark on a daring endeavor as a consequence. To reach my abode, nestled in a charming nearby locale, we had to stroll on foot. In that moment, the distance felt almost trivial. We pressed forward with an undeniable allure, all the while under the watchful gaze of those around us. Regrettably, we eluded the watchful eyes of the authorities. Upon returning to my abode, I facilitated a more intimate setting for Lucas to change his attire. Allow me the pleasure of presenting you. I made a choice that felt undeniably right. Yet I find myself questioning whether it was merely the fervor of the occasion that stirred such emotions. In that secluded corner, Aiden and I shared a meaningful conversation that deepened our connection. Once more, I found myself entwined in a captivating game, a dance of intrigue, even as the possibility of discovery lingered in the air. We pressed on, leaving that trivial concern behind us, lost in the allure of the moment. I was merely in search of the exquisite elixir that had ensnared my very soul. I longed passionately for a discovery that would envelop me in serenity and calmness. Once more, the individual responded with an abundance of fervor. As I finished, Aiden gracefully made his way back to his abode. Alas, in a moment of distraction, I left my elegant hotel boots behind in the bathroom. Upon his return, Eric and I found ourselves drifting apart, the spark of our connection dimmed by the disagreements that had woven their way between us. A tantalizing pause has unfolded since that moment. However, I find myself in the enchanting company of Aiden quite often. I appreciate Aiden's presence in our family and value the bond we've developed over time. Words seem to elude me in capturing its essence. My heart is utterly entwined with his, and now a beautiful secret blooms within me. I'm expecting his son. As soon as he grasped that the article belonged to him, he vanished into thin air, leaving me in a tantalizing state of longing ever since. It was I who penned the tale. If you found the content to your taste, do take a moment to express your appreciation for the video. To stay in the loop about our upcoming delights, we invite you to subscribe and turn on notifications. Until we meet again,